Hey, welcome. Today we're diving into a topic that honestly touches every single one of us, mental health. And we're not just talking about crisis or illness. We're talking about the everyday state of our minds. How we cope, how we connect, and how we thrive. So, let's get right into it.
I really wanted to start with this quote from the World Health Organization because it just cuts right to the chase. Mental health and well-being is everyone's business. This isn't some far-off problem for someone else to solve. It's a deeply human experience we all share. And as we're about to see, it's a shared responsibility too.
All right, here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to nail down what we actually mean by mental well-being. Then we'll look at the whole spectrum, from thriving all the way to crisis. After that, we'll get practical on how to spot signs of struggle and what to do about it. And finally, we'll zoom out to look at why this is a responsibility for all of us.
So first up, what do we even mean when we say mental health? I think for a lot of people, the term just means, not being sick. But it's so much more than that. It's actually a really positive and active idea.
Check out this definition. It's not about what's missing, it's all about what's present. Good mental health is having the ability to realize your potential, to handle the normal everyday stresses that life throws at you, to be productive, and to feel like you're a part of your community. It's about capability.
Okay, this next part is absolutely crucial. Mental health is not an on or off switch. It's not like you're either good or bad. Think of it more like a continuum, a spectrum that every single one of us moves along throughout our lives, depending on what's going on around us and inside us. This chart here lays it all out visually. You can see it goes from excelling in the green all the way over to in crisis in the red. So let's take a quick walk through each of these stages, because chances are you'll recognize yourself in a few of them.
So way over on the right, in that bright green zone, you have excelling. This is that amazing feeling when you're totally in the zone, in a state of flow. You feel joyful, energetic, you're performing at your peak, you're just firing on all cylinders.
Right next to that, still in the green, we've got thriving. Now this is maybe a more sustainable, everyday good place to be. You're feeling positive, calm, you're sleeping well, your social life is good. Things are just solid. Now we're moving into the yellow zone, which is labeled surviving. And I think this is a place we can all recognize. It's when worry and irritation start to bubble up. Maybe your sleep gets a little choppy, you feel more distracted, or you just want to be alone more often.
Then, in the orange, we shift from surviving to struggling. And here, the signs are getting a lot clearer. That worry might now feel more like anxiety. Sadness might feel heavier. You're tired a lot, your work is slipping, and things like sleep and appetite are really off.
And finally, all the way on the left, we have the red zone, in crisis. This is the most severe point. We're talking high anxiety, a very low mood, complete exhaustion. It often leads to missing work or school, and you might even see physical changes like weight loss. These are serious, urgent signs that it's time to get professional help. Okay, so understanding that continuum is one thing, but how do we actually use it? Let's make this super practical. What are the specific signs we should look for? In ourselves, in other adults, and maybe most importantly, in kids?
For adults, it's really useful to see how these things can escalate. What might start as mild stress, headaches, being a little forgetful, or getting angry easily, can build into much more severe issues like constant irritability, not being able to focus, really bad sleep, or actively avoiding people. Spotting those early signs is everything.
Now, with kids, the signs can sometimes be surprising because they often show up in behavior. So you might see things like bullying, or the complete opposite, where they just withdraw. Or maybe a sudden change. A kid who is always quiet is suddenly overly talkative, or they're acting out in disruptive ways. These are all potential signals.
Okay, so we're getting good at recognizing the signs. Now what? This is the most important part, right? How do we actually respond in a way that helps? Let's shift from just identifying problems to taking real supportive action.
Before I show you some techniques, just pause for a second and ask yourself this. If you were having a really tough time, what kind of response would actually make you feel heard and understood? Just keeping that in mind can totally change how we approach these conversations.
So often, real support just comes down to good communication. This three-step approach is super helpful. First, try to understand by asking open questions. How was your day? Invites a real story. Did you have a good day? Just invites a yes or no. Second, empathize. Just saying something like, wow, I can see why you feel that way, is so validating. And third, praise the small steps. Acknowledging someone's effort, like, that must have taken a lot of courage, can be incredibly powerful.
Now, that one-on-one support is absolutely vital, but it can't be the whole story. To really move the needle, we have to zoom out and think bigger about building actual systems of support in our communities, especially in places like our schools.
One of the most powerful tools for this, particularly in schools, is student screening. The key word here is proactive. This isn't about slapping labels on kids. It's about identifying students who might be at risk before things get really bad so we can get them the help they need early on.
And this really brings us full circle, back to that idea of shared responsibility. Creating a mentally healthy community isn't just a job for doctors and therapists. We all have a role to play. Whether it's demanding fair access to care, promoting understanding to fight stigma, or just working together to support local initiatives.
So we end right where we started. Mental health and well-being is everyone's business. Whether it's just checking in with yourself about where you are on that continuum today, supporting a friend who's struggling, or advocating for better systems in our world, the message is crystal clear. The only question left is, what part are you going to play?